Hello, this is Graham Seibert. I'd like to introduce a series of 4 videos on human evolution, from the time of the creation of the Earth up through the present. It's that up through the present that causes the problems. 80 years ago, liberals berated Christians as knuckle-dragging primitives who didn't believe in evolution. Now we all believe in evolution, and it's the liberals who don't want to accept its implications. We've learned a lot in the last few decades. We've learned that human populations evolved very quickly since they left Africa 50,000 years ago, and they have evolved to be different. That's the subject of the future videos. This one covers only up through 7,000 years ago, our common ancestors. I tell the story in a series of 7 timelines, each about 1/10 as long as the one preceding. I contend, highly subjectively, that about the same amount of evolution took place in each of them. At least if you look at the human being as the end result of evolution. I start with the history of the Earth, 4.5 billion years. I then zoom into the age of multicellular life, which I call the age of sexual reproduction. I then zoom to the age of warm-blooded animals, birds and mammals. From there I zoom to the age of hominids, our ape ancestors, and from there to the age of speech. Only 200,000 years ago we started speaking and dominated the earth. Then to the age of agriculture, and finally to the age of Western civilization. A lot of evolution took place in each of these periods, and the last 2 after we split up into different human populations upon our exit from Africa. The Earth was formed about 4.5 billion years ago, and life appeared within the first billion years. The definition of life is pretty simple: reproduction and metabolism. Reproduction, making copies of yourself, is simple. Even ice does that. One ice crystal will seed others. Metabolism is fairly simple: acquiring an energy source, using it, and getting rid of the byproducts. At any rate, by 1 billion years ago, there were cells with cell walls and organelles on the inside, kind of like today. Then they developed photosynthesis, which allowed them to capture sugars and release oxygen into the air, something for predators and decomposers to take advantage of. Then, after a long while, the cells started to hang together, perhaps 1 billion years ago, and then 600 million years ago, in what's called the Cambrian explosion, they became big enough to leave fossils for the first paleontologists to find. Small worm-like things died and got buried in the mud, leaving fossils. Those little things later developed tentacles, legs, antennae, other appendages. Life appeared on land. Land plants enabled animals to move on land. They had something to eat. It also filled the air with oxygen. Some of the worm-like things evolved into fish, filling the oceans. Some of those fish were spine-finned and lobe-finned. Some of the lobes turned into legs, allowing amphibians to crawl out onto land. Then came reptiles, which no longer had to return to water in order to breed. They ruled the earth for a couple 100 million years, during which time mammals evolved from primitive reptiles and birds from dinosaurs. Flowering plants appeared. Flowering plants survived hard times better than the animals because they reproduce by seeds and spores, which can live a long time and endure hard times, such as the 5 great extinctions that took place, each one killing large amounts of animals, the greatest up to 90%, emptying ecological niches and prompting more evolution. The last one appears to have been prompted by a meteor strike in the Gulf of Mexico 66 million years ago, which filled the air with carbon dioxide and dust and caused the dinosaurs, big animals with big appetites, to go extinct. Small, warm-blooded birds and mammals inherited the earth. They found the ecological niches that had been occupied by the dinosaurs empty, and they evolved rapidly to fill them. Mammals turned into small rodents, big herbivores with hooves, whales in the oceans, bats in the nighttime sky, and our ancestors, the primates, took to the trees. These primates evolved into monkeys with color vision, hands capable of grasping the branches and food, brains capable of navigating the treetop environment and maintaining a complex social order. There was abundant food. These small monkeys that ran on top of branches evolved into big apes that had to swing underneath them. They evolved the shoulders that were able to do it. They evolved increasingly complex social orders. Now, just to put things in perspective, since the apes evolved, one species of original cat has turned into everything from tigers to tabby cats. Dogs likewise. We're talking about a lot of evolutionary time here. 7 million years ago, when our ancestors split from their forest-dwelling cousins, they were already highly social animals. They were confidently living on the forest floor, able to fight off predators, although they still had the ability to climb trees. Their evolution had been amazingly fast, but as fast as it was nothing compared to the evolution yet to come. Evolution obviously speeded up dramatically. The underlying cause, genetic variability, has been fairly constant. It's caused by cosmic radiation and copying errors. It's what nature does with that variability that has changed. A more complex genome will experience proportionately more random mutations. Sexual reproduction guarantees that the offspring are not like the parents and usually not like each other. Smarter, faster, hardier individuals will leave more offspring. That's evolution. Changes in environment prompt evolution. Life moved onto land. Environment changes more dramatically on land than in the oceans, and especially during the great extinctions. Organisms coexist in a biosphere. Each species is forced to evolve as its prey and predators change. As the antelopes speed up, so must the lions. Some animals, like beavers, modify their own environment. Humans do so dramatically. There's group competition within a species, especially among humans. Tribes and nations compete on the basis of technology. We carefully breed our plants and animals and are careful with our own breeding. This has led to high intelligence in inbred groups like the Jews, Parsis, and Japanese. Ideas shape evolution. Islam believes strongly in children. Christians no longer do. Islam is growing. My next video addresses human evolution up to the age of agriculture. It was extraordinarily rapid. But what has happened since the dawn of civilization is truly explosive. Look for the episodes that follow.